Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. Chinese cars are no longer a joke. They're not falling apart. They're not decades behind. And in some cases, they're out-teching, outpricing, and outright humiliating their Western rivals. Meanwhile, legacy car makers, the big names from the US and Europe, are still charging more while delivering less value, less innovation, and in too many cases, less reliability than they want you to believe. Welcome to Drive Sense Garage, where we cut through the marketing noise, bury the hype, and give you the cold, hard facts. No fluff, no sponsors. Just brutally honest breakdowns that save you from buying the wrong car. Because whether it's a $30,000 sedan or a $70,000 SUV, the wrong choice can cost you big. And we're here to make sure it doesn't. So today, we're putting Chinese and Western cars in a head-to-head death match. 12 rounds, no mercy. Real-world categories that matter, from build quality to tech, resale value to reliability, and everything in between. The goal isn't to hype one side or bash the other. It's to show you where each really stands right now in 2025. Because here's the deal, Chinese automakers aren't coming. They're already here. And if you think they're just copying Western designs or building cheap junk, you're already behind. So buckle up, because some of these comparisons might just flip what you thought you knew about car quality, innovation, and value. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for the last category. It's the knockout punch that could change your next car decision entirely. Let's get into it. Kicking off the list at number 12, we've got a battle of budget EVs that punch above their price. The MG ZS EV from China versus America's own Chevrolet Bolt EUV. Now on paper, these two are aiming for the same buyer, someone who wants an affordable, practical electric crossover without diving into Tesla-level pricing. But once you dig deeper, the differences start stacking up. Let's start with performance. The Bolt EUV edges out the MG ZS EV in sheer numbers, delivering 200 horsepower and 360 newton-meters of torque, compared to the MG's 174 horsepower and 280 newton-meters. It's noticeably quicker off the line and better for highway overtakes. But there's a catch. The Bolt charges slower than your grandma's Facebook feed. Topping out at 55 kilowatt DC fast charging, it feels ancient in a world where even the MG's long-range model hits 100 kilowatts and recharges 10 to 80% in about 40 minutes. And let's talk real-world range. The ZS EV's long-range variant gets you up to 440 kilometers based on the findings of the worldwide Bolt's EPA-rated 397 kilometers. And that's before factoring in how the MG handles heat management and battery degradation with its blade battery tech, something GM famously struggled with, leading to mass recalls that tanked the Bolt's resale value. Inside, the ZS EV isn't revolutionary, but it feels modern and functional. The 10.1-inch touchscreen, iSmart system, and panoramic sunroof give it an edge in perceived value. The Bolt's interface is cleaner and the seats more comfortable, but the cabin materials feel stuck in 2018. And while GM has done damage control, the Bolt's image, Sun, and its production line were both effectively shut down in 2023. That's a death sentence for resale. So who wins? The Bolt is quicker and arguably more refined to drive, but the MG ZS EV simply offers more EV for your money. Better range, faster charging, stronger tech, and a warranty that wipes the floor with Chevys. Winner, MG ZS EV. It's the smarter, future-ready buy that makes the Bolt feel like a forgotten beta test. Coming in at number 11, we've got a showdown between Chery's Tiggo 8 Pro and the Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace, two mid-size SUVs with room for 7 and totally different philosophies. The Chery is a value bomb. For the price of a stripped-down Tiguan, you get leather seats, dual 12.3-inch displays, a Sony sound system, and a 360-degree camera. It's blinged out like a budget Bentley. The Tiguan, by contrast, plays it safe. Functional cabin, soft touch materials, and rock-solid German ergonomics. Nothing flashy, but everything works. Under the hood, Chery brings a 2.0-liter turbocharged engine, pushing out 250 horsepower and 390 newton-meters of torque, more than enough grunt for family hauling. The Tiguan's 2.0-liter turbo only makes 184 horsepower and 300 newton-meters. That's not just a power gap, it's a whole category shift. The Chery wins on paper, but numbers don't always tell the full story, because once you hit the road, the Tiguan pulls ahead. It's tighter in corners, smoother over bumps, and the 8-speed transmission feels more in sync with your inputs. The Chery? It's soft and floaty, great for cruising, not so great when you're carrying 7 people through winding roads. Body roll? Yep. It's there. Tiguan just feels more sorted. Fuel economy goes to the German too. The Tiguan averages around 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers compared to the Tiggo 8 Pro's thirstier 9.0 plus. And then there's brand trust. Volkswagen has decades of global support and resale strength. Chery's still building that outside China. And customer reports of early rattles and interior wear aren't helping. So yes, the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro gives you a ton of features for the money. But once you factor in drive quality, brand support, and real-world ownership, the Tiguan wins where it matters most. Winner, Volkswagen Tiguan. Refinement over flash, especially when hauling your family's future around. At number 10, we've got a battle between two small electric hatchbacks built for the modern city. The BYD Dolphin from China and the Mini Electric, a Western icon turned all-electric by the BMW Group. The Dolphin is BYD's attempt to dominate the entry-level EV space. It's playful, affordable, and packed with features usually reserved for cars twice the price. You can get it with either a 70-kilowatt motor producing 94 horsepower or a 150-kilowatt motor that produces 201 horsepower, paired with either a 44.9 or 60.5 kilowatt-hour blade battery. The result? Up to 427 kilometers of WLTP range in the long-range trim, and a respectable 0 to 100 kilometers per hour sprint in around 7.5 seconds. Now, the Mini Electric is a different beast. It's all about character and heritage. With 135 kilowatts, 181 horsepower, and 270 newton meters of torque, it's quicker off the line than the base Dolphin, hitting 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.3 seconds. But here's the catch. The Mini's 32.6 kilowatt-hour battery only gives you 234 kilometers WLTP range. That's almost half the Dolphin's range. In real-world winter driving, even worse. Handling? The Mini wins, no question. Its go-kart-like steering, low center of gravity, and stiff suspension make it one of the most fun EVs under $40,000 to drive. It corners like a dream, but you'll feel every pothole along the way. The Dolphin, on the other hand, is tuned for comfort. Smoother ride, quieter cabin, but softer steering and less road feel. Inside, BYD's futuristic cabin outclasses the Mini in screen size, tech, and usability. The rotating 12.8-inch touchscreen, digital cluster, and smart voice assistant all feel next-gen. The Mini keeps things analog chic with toggles, circular screens, and BMW-backed iDrive software, but feels a bit cramped and dated in comparison. Charging speed? The Dolphin supports up to 88 kilowatt DC fast charging. The Mini maxes out at 50 kilowatts. That's a 0 to 80% top-up in 36 minutes for BYD versus closer to an hour for Mini. And with its tiny battery, that time feels even more painful. Winner, BYD Dolphin, for offering double the range, better tech, and real daily practicality in a package that undercuts the Mini by thousands. The Mini is fun, but the Dolphin just makes more sense. At number 9, we've got the Geely Coolray facing off against the Ford Puma, two subcompact SUVs gunning for younger drivers who want style, efficiency, and just enough utility for daily life. Now, the Coolray has made serious waves in Asia, Eastern Europe, and the Middle East, thanks to its aggressive design, surprisingly punchy engine, and loaded feature set. Under the hood, it packs a 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine developed with Volvo, pushing out 177 horsepower and 255 newton meters of torque, mated to a 7-speed wet dual-clutch transmission. The Ford Puma, mostly a European market car, brings a 1.0-liter 3-cylinder turbo EcoBoost with mild hybrid assist. Power, 123 to 155 horsepower depending on trim, and torque between 210 to 240 newton meters. It's mated to a 7-speed DCT or 6-speed manual. On paper, the Coolray wins in raw power, but on the road, that's where Ford starts clawing back ground. The Puma feels more refined when you're behind the wheel. The steering is sharper, the chassis stiffer, and it handles like a hot hatch in disguise. The Coolray, while fast in a straight line, doesn't quite nail suspension tuning. The ride can feel a bit unsettled at high speeds, especially over poor roads. It's fun, but not confidence-inspiring. Inside, the Geely dazzles. A massive 12.3-inch digital cluster, flat-bottom steering wheel, leatherette seats, wireless charging, even ambient lighting. It looks far more expensive than it is. The Puma, meanwhile, leans minimalist, solid build but less flash. However, Ford's info-to-newton meter-sync system is far more intuitive and responsive than Geely's sometimes laggy GKUI interface. Fuel economy? Puma wins, averaging around 5.4 liters per 100 kilometers compared to the Coolray's thirstier 7.1 plus. And while Geely boasts of global ambitions, long-term reliability and parts availability outside China remain question marks. Ford, for all its flaws, has a wide service network and established trust in key markets. So while the Coolray is the flashier, faster, and cheaper option on the surface, when it comes to real-world driving, ownership support, and build consistency, winner, Ford Puma, for giving enthusiasts a better driving crossover that's as fun as it is functional. Coming in at number 8 is a clash of electric titans, NIO ET5 from China, one of the boldest EV startups in the world, versus Germany's all-electric workhorse, the BMW i4. Let's start with numbers. The ET5 features dual motors producing 360 kilowatts, 483 horsepower, and 700 newton meters of torque. It rockets from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.0 seconds. The i4 eDrive 40, single motor, rear-wheel drive, 250 kilowatts, 335 horsepower, and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.7 seconds. The i4 M50 narrows the gap, 536 horsepower and a 3.9-second sprint, but costs significantly more. When it comes to range, the ET5 offers multiple battery options, modes: 75 kilowatt hours, 100 kilowatt hours, and even a 150 kilowatt hour solid-state pack boasting over 1,000 kilometers NEDC range, though real-world WLTP puts it closer to 600 to 700 kilometers. BMW's i4 around 510 kilometers WLTP with its 81 kilowatt hour battery. So on paper, NIO wins. But NIO doesn't stop at range. It's pioneering battery swap stations. A 5-minute full recharge by swapping the entire battery pack. Already live in China and expanding into Europe. BMW still playing catch-up with traditional DC fast charging. Inside, the ET5 looks like the future. Ambient lighting, AR heads-up display, and NOMI, the AI assistant that tracks your eye movement, tone of voice, and even mood. BMW's cabin is more refined, better built, and familiar, but definitely more conventional. Driving-wise, the i4 has the edge. It inherits decades of BMW chassis tuning, offering precise steering, road feel, and body control that NIO hasn't quite mastered. The ET5 is fast, brutally so, but lacks the dynamic finesse of the i4, especially when pushed hard. But here's the truth bomb. For the price of an i4 eDrive 40, you can get an all-wheel drive ET5 with more power, longer range, and futuristic tech. Plus, NIO's customer service, especially in China, has been rated among the best in the industry, including free pickup and delivery for maintenance. Winner, NIO ET5, for delivering high-end electric performance and innovation that makes the i4 feel overpriced and under-equipped. At number 7, it's a matchup that had to happen. XPeng P7, China's tech-heavy challenger, versus the Tesla Model 3, the global benchmark for affordable electric sedans. Let's be clear, the Model 3 set the bar, but the P7 is coming for it hard. The P7 packs a dual-motor setup pushing 430 horsepower and 660 newton-meters, good for 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.1 seconds. Tesla's Model 3 performance? Nearly identical acceleration with 480 horsepower in 3.3 seconds. But the difference here isn't power, it's tech philosophy. XPeng leans heavily into autonomy. Their X-Pilot 3.5 system offers LiDAR-based navigation-guided pilot, city-level automatic lane changes, and parking assist that actually works. While Tesla relies solely on cameras and vision-based software, a bet that still struggles in complex urban traffic. In recent benchmarking, source Car News China, Electrek, XPILOT showed better lane centering and smoother stop-and-go behavior in dense Chinese cities. Inside, the P7 feels more premium. Dual screens, suede finishes, ambient lighting, and a calmer, more refined interface. Tesla's cabin is clean but minimal to a fault. Some call it futuristic, others call it boring. On range, it's a toss-up. The XPeng P7 long range offers approximately 600 kilometers WLTP. The Model 3 LR about 576 kilometers. Tesla has the supercharger advantage globally, but in regions where XPeng is expanding, like Norway, charging partnerships are closing the gap. The drive? Tesla feels tighter, faster to react, with sharper throttle tuning. The P7 is quieter, more relaxed, but doesn't quite match the visceral feedback. For road trip warriors, Tesla's network still reigns supreme. But for smart urban commuters who want intelligent automation and better in-car comfort, winner, XPeng P7. It outsmarts Tesla in tech, comfort, and sophistication, even if it doesn't outgun it in brute force. At number 6, we have two volume players battling for the suburban driveway, the Haval H6 from China versus the Ford Escape sold as the Kuga in Europe. These are the go-to SUVs for families who want utility, comfort, and just enough badge appeal to not feel cheap in the office parking lot. Let's talk power first. The H6 comes with a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that pumps out 201 horsepower and 320 newton-meters of torque. Ford's 2.0-liter EcoBoost engine offers a slightly stronger 250 horsepower and 380 newton-meters. On paper, Ford leads. On the road, same story. The Escape has quicker throttle response, better transmission tuning, and more composed cornering. But Haval counters with sheer tech overload. A 12.3-inch touchscreen, digital instrument cluster, wireless charging, panoramic sunroof, and 360 camera all come standard on high trims, for less money than the mid-trim Escape. And the cabin? It's borderline luxury in look and feel. Leatherette, brushed metal, ambient lighting, it screams value. The Escape, while more refined in how it drives, just doesn't wow you inside. The layout is safe, even dated, and while Sync 4 is intuitive and fast, it doesn't feel futuristic. The Havel's interface can be a bit clunky, but the wow factor is there, especially for first-time buyers moving up from older compacts. Fuel economy? The Escape wins. It's lighter, and the 2.0-liter EcoBoost averages 8.0 liters per 100 kilometers, while the H6 sits around 9.2. But that's where Ford's edge ends. Resale and reliability? Ford still holds the global trust card. Haval is gaining ground but lacks long-term support networks outside of Asia and the Middle East. Real-world owner reports show minor issues like infotainment lag, but no major drivetrain concerns as yet. Winner? Ford Escape. Better sorted, more efficient, and backed by a brand with global credibility. The Haval looks great, but the Escape still drives better and lasts longer. Next up at number 5, the Zeekr 001, China's Halo EV from Geely's luxury division, going up against the Audi A6 e-tron Avant, the most anticipated luxury electric wagon from Germany. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Audi has heritage, prestige, and brand presence. Zeekr doesn't yet, but if specs and innovation are the battleground, Audi better be ready for a fight. The Zeekr 001 dual-motor version delivers up to 536 horsepower and a blistering 0 to 100 km per hour time of 3.8 seconds. The KTL 140 kWh Kalen battery offers up to 822 kilometers of range. CLTC realistically more like 600 to 650 kilometers. WLTP. Audi's A6 Avant e-tron prototype promises a dual motor setup with approximately 469 horsepower, 700 newton meters, and about 700 kilometers WLTP from its 100 kilowatt-hour battery. Charging? Both support 200 plus kilowatt ultra-fast DC, but Zeekr already exists. Audi's is still coming, and that matters. Interior? The Zeekr stuns. Alcantara, floating displays, ultra-wide touchscreens, and rear seat lounge functions that rival high-end Benzes. Audi no doubt will deliver refinement and timeless materials, but Zeekr's cabin feels like it belongs in a sci-fi movie, not a company carpool. Ride quality? Audi will likely take the crown here. Its adaptive air suspension, noise isolation, and years of chassis tuning can't be matched by a startup. Zeekr is good, really good, but still just shy of that Audi float and glide magic. Still, for the money, the Zeekr is devastating. Comparable trims undercut Audi by tens of thousands. You're getting Taycan-like numbers for nearly half the price of a fully spec'd Avant e-tron. Winner, Zeekr 001. Bold, beautiful, blisteringly fast, and already on the road. Audi will need more than legacy to beat this. Number 4 brings us to a clash of design, heritage, and horsepower. The BYD Seal, China's answer to the Model 3, versus the Ford Mustang Mach-E, a car that slapped a legendary badge onto an electric future. First, the Seal. It's a stunner. Rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, blade battery tech, and a peak output of 523 horsepower and 670 newton meters in the performance trim. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, just 3.8 seconds. The standard RWD version still delivers a healthy 312 horsepower with around 550 kilometers WLTP range. The Mustang Mach-E GT, dual motors, 480 horsepower, 860 newton meters, and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.7 seconds. It's the American Muscle EV range, around 490 to 500 kilometers WLTP for the GT performance. But beyond the spec sheet is where the Seal starts pulling away. The interior is a design clinic, rotating 15.6-inch touchscreen, floating console, vegan leather, and clean surfacing. It feels like a premium EV. The Mach-E's cabin, functional but plasticky in places. The vertical screen is huge, but the UI still feels like an afterthought compared to BYD's smooth integration. Ride comfort? Mach-E is stiff. That muscle car DNA comes with firm suspension and twitchier throttle mapping. The Seal is softer, more composed, and easier to live with day to day. It's not as visceral, but it's also not punishing. Charging infrastructure is where Ford wins, hands down in North America and Europe, with partnerships tied to major networks and growing Ford Pass access. BYD is still building that ecosystem, although in China, it's already far ahead. But globally, the Seal gives you more performance, better comfort, and a cleaner design for thousands less. The Mustang name is iconic, but the execution is starting to show its age. Winner, BYD Seal, the smart, stylish, and surprisingly mature EV that makes even American muscle sweat. So here's the question. Are you still putting your money on legacy brands just because they've been around longer? Because if you're buying in 2025, you can't afford to ignore what China is bringing to the table. Zeekr, BYD, and Haval are no longer the underdogs. They're winning categories the West used to own. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Which car would you take from these matchups? Would you gamble on a Chinese brand or stick with the badge you grew up trusting? And hit that subscribe button, because the final 3 face-offs are next. And trust me, you do not want to miss who takes the crown. We're now in the top 3 and it's time to ruffle some feathers. At number 3, the Hongqi H9, China's flagship luxury sedan, taking on Germany's pride, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Let's start with presence. The Hongqi H9 doesn't whisper luxury, it shouts it. Oversized grille, Rolls-Royce-style two-tone paint, soft close doors, and an interior that looks like a cigar lounge married a tech startup. The E-Class, by comparison, is understated, sleek, refined, and instantly recognizable. One is old money, the other, nouveau riche on a mission. Under the hood, the H9 offers a 2.0-liter turbo, 252 horsepower, or a 3.0-liter supercharged V, 6-mild hybrid pushing 283 horsepower. Mercedes, the E-Class 300e+ plug-in hybrid, delivers 312 horsepower and up to 100 kilometers of electric-only range with a silky 9-speed automatic. The E-Class is faster, quieter, and more efficient, and it doesn't have to shout to be taken seriously. But inside, the honky stuns. Massage seats, double-pane glass, customizable mood lighting, fragrance diffuser, and a rear cabin that rivals the S-Class in dimensions. The materials? Real wood, suede headliner, high-grade leather. The tech? Big screens, gesture control, and an AI assistant. It's the most opulent cabin you've never heard of. Drive quality? Mercedes wins, hands down. The H9 is soft, floaty, and better suited to chauffeur duty. The E-Class balances comfort with confidence. It glides but also responds. Mercedes has been refining this formula for 70 years. Honky just started, and it shows in sharper turns and tight corners. But here's the kicker. The H9 costs half as much. It undercuts the E-Class by tens of thousands while offering more space and flashier features. The badge lacks cachet, and it's still largely untested outside China. But the ambition? It's massive. Winner, Mercedes E-Class. Because luxury isn't just about size and screens. It's about how the car makes you feel at 130 kilometers per hour, and the Benz still gets it right. At number 2, it's the rising premium EV challenger Voya Free, going head-to-head with the established Scandinavian king, the Volvo XC90. Voya is a sub-brand of Dongfeng, one of China's oldest automakers, and the Free is their electric chalk hybrid SUV aimed at families who want range, luxury, and space. The Free comes in 2 flavors: extended range hybrid, EREV, and pure electric. In its most powerful trim, it puts down 684 horsepower and hits 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds, numbers that embarrass the XC90's top trims. Volvo's XC90 is iconic. The T8 Recharge Hybrid offers 455 horsepower, 0 to 100 in 5.4 seconds, and up to 77 kilometers of electric-only range. Hey, it's the more balanced setup, quieter, more efficient, and better engineered for long-term ownership. Inside, the Free offers a panoramic triple-screen dashboard, Napa leather, soft close everything, and seats that feel like they came from a business-class lounge. The XC90 counters with Scandinavian minimalism, clean lines, real wood, intuitive Sensus interface. It's warmer, more human. Where the Voya Free stumbles is ride quality. It's stiff at low speeds and lacks Volvo's silky air suspension feel. And while the spec sheet looks incredible, real-world owner feedback reveals occasional software bugs and inconsistent build precision. The XC90? Aging? Yes, but still one of the safest, most comfortable SUVs you can buy. Service network? Volvo has global reach. Voya is still ramping up, mostly sold in China and just entering Norway and select EU markets. Resale? XC90 holds strong. Voya has no track record yet. Winner, Volvo XC90. Because while the Free is fast and flashy, the XC90 is the smarter, safer, and more consistent long-term bet. Here we are at number 1, the heavyweight fight. The BYD Tang EV versus the global EV bestseller, the Tesla Model Y. And yes, we're naming a winner. Let's start with the Tang. It's BYD's flagship family EV. 7 seats, dual motors, 517 horsepower, and a massive 86.4 kilowatt-hour blade battery, delivering up to 528 kilometers WLTP. The interior is plush, quilted leather, ventilated seats front and rear, a 15.6-inch rotating screen, and actual physical climate buttons. In other words, comfort and usability. The Tesla Model Y? It's quicker. 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds in performance trim. Range? About 533 kilometers WLTP. Tesla's software ecosystem is un-Newton meters hatched. Autopilot, updates, charging network, all class leading. But step inside and it's sparse. Some call it minimalist, others call it cheap. Hard plastics, no instrument cluster, and a screen that controls everything, including airflow direction. Now the ride. The Tang is softer, better for families. The Model Y rides harsher, especially on 20-plus inch wheels. BYD feels more premium on city streets, less twitchy, but the Model Y handles better with tighter steering and lower center of gravity. Charging, Tesla wins. Supercharger access, better planning, better reliability. BYD is catching up fast in China and Norway, but in global markets, Tesla owns the plug. Price? The Tang undercuts the Model Y by at least $10,000, while offering more space, more seats, and more standard features. Reliability? Early Model Ys were plagued by panel gaps and software bugs. Tang's reliability in China has improved, but global proof is still forming. So who takes it? Winner, BYD Tang EV, because for the average family, it offers more comfort, more value, and more practicality for less money. Tesla's still the benchmark, but BYD just took the crown for the family EV throne. So there you have it, 12 brutal comparisons, and if you're keeping score, it's no longer a blowout. Chinese brands aren't just catching up, they're passing Western icons in pricing, tech, comfort, and in some cases, performance. Zeekr embarrassed Audi, BYD outgunned Tesla, and the Seal? It made Ford's EV look outdated. Yes, legacy automakers still lead in consistency, long-term trust, and driving finesse. But the myth that Chinese cars are low-quality clones, that's dead. So now it's your turn. Would you trust a Chinese car in your driveway in 2025? Let me know in the comment. And if this video made you rethink anything, hit like, smash subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks made in China means cheap and weak. This is Drive Sense Garage, where cars make sense or get exposed. Catch you in the next one.